Now, I didn't know about this strobe cream at all until I sat in on an educator session at the Mac Pro store when it was open in Paddington. And this is it here. Now, this comes in, I think, 4 different colors. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they've got a yellow tone color for more African-American skins. This one here is called Pink Light. And I got this one because a lot of the clients that I work with are more fairer to medium tone skin. But this works fantastic for the darker skins as well. So this doubles up as a hydrator and a primer. If you've got really dry skin, I would still say use a moisturizer, but if you don't, then you can just opt in to use that. So I'm just going to use my palette, and I'm going to show you how much I'm applying because it's not a lot. So can everyone see that? That's all I'm applying there. And using a stipple brush, which is a Zoeva one, which is this here. This is my stipple brush. I'm going to pop that all over the skin, and automatically you'll be able to see how luminous it is. And just let me know as well if you can't really see anything that's going on, and I will move around. But yeah, you can see that I've got really dry areas on my skin at the moment, and obviously I've had to remove my makeup, and it's near the end of the day as well. Now, anytime you do an editorial shoot or a photographic shoot, you've got to take into consideration whether or not they're going to use bright lighting, which is like really heavy lighting, or they're going to go with soft glow lighting. This all depends on the photographer, you know, what sort of shoot it is, and that will determine, the lighting aspect will determine what products to use. Using this, the MAC Strobe Cream, has never ever done me wrong. It's always looked beautiful on any kind of lighting, whether it's strong lighting or really natural lighting. Now, I've only applied just that really tiny amount. I wouldn't go overboard with it, because if you go overboard with any dewy or like oil-based product, it's going to make you look oily. And you don't want your model to look super oily, because the photographer is going to approach you and go, hey, can you tone that down, because it's just not going to look right on film. So now you can see that it's added a little bit of that glow just there and around the cheek area. Where you want to concentrate the strobe cream is, I do it all over because I love the effect that it gives me. Otherwise, you can just concentrate it on the cheek area here, just there and around. If you've got an oily T-zone like me, I would just sweep a little bit down the forehead, nose and chin, but don't concentrate along the aspect. You want to concentrate more on the cheek area here. All right, so we've done strobe cream, so we'll pop that away. Next, I want to just get into doing a little bit of concealment. Now, anytime you're doing a photographic shoot, and if you're on last week's stream or you have seen the video from last week with the interview with Tracy we had on our IGTV, you would have noticed that she did speak a lot about concealing more than packing on your foundation when you're doing a photographic shoot. Why? Is because there's a few things why. Number one is, if you pack on that foundation, it's just going to be a lot harder for the photographer to retouch or edit the images. They're going to have layers upon layers, and it just doesn't help them at the end of the day. They can do it, but it's just not going to look nice and airbrushed. So what you want to do is you want to concentrate your concealment and then a light tinted moisturizer or a light coverage foundation, because you want the skin to look like skin. You don't want it to look packed on and powdery. That's a big no-no. So concealer wise, and if you've been with me for a while and you've been taught by me, you will know that I absolutely rave about the Crayolan color wheel, which is this here. Now, I've had this since I finished studying, which was 15 years ago, and it's still kept alive. And on the back of this, it's actually got the colors that you can use to coincide what you see on the skin. So for example, the orange, and this is basic color theory. So the orange is going to cancel out purple. The orange tone here, so the blue concealer is what they call it, is going to conceal blue. You keep going around the circle, and on the back, it helps you determine what to use. This is what I love about it, because it's just basic color correction. Now, with the Crayolan cream concealers, you don't need a lot of these because they are really great coverage. So because I've got darkness underneath my eyes, I'm going to use that pink one, and I'm going to mix it in with a purple because I do have a little bit of purple underneath there. And I'm going to concentrate a lot of the concealment underneath my eyes and on any redness I do have on the skin. Are there any questions, Rob, or are we all good? Excellent. All right. Now the concealer, the brush that I'm going to use is an Urban Decay one. Now I actually got this Urban Decay brush in the Heat palette. So I've just been using it as a concealer because it is a synthetic brush. I haven't really used it as a shadow brush at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to concentrate. Now, one thing, try not to do, especially with photographic shoots, is go onto YouTube and see them just gliding on the concealer, because that's just going to be way too much. You want to be able to concentrate that concealer on the areas that you want to cover, which for me is just on the inner corner here to start off with. So you can see here, I haven't like slathered on that concealer, right? Because again, you've got to think, if the concealer is full coverage, you don't want to be slathering it on. And then what you want to do is you just want to focus, especially underneath the eyes, is here. And that's where I get a lot of my darkness underneath. And then I'm just going to use my stipple brush, and I'm just going to just even that out and blend that out. Now, try not to use a sponge. And I know beauty blenders are a big thing, but obviously now with COVID, if you're using a beauty blender, you need to give it to the client because it's theirs. You can't go back and rewash that. So that's a big no-no at the moment. So you can see straight away how that's concealed a lot of the inner corner of my eye. So I'm going to go back in, and I'm just going to just lightly sweep underneath, just really lightly with my brush, and then just use the stipple brush to just really even that out. Now, I find also a lot of time is artists, especially students, they go in like this, like a pen, and do that. Try to hold your brush at the end here and just, you know, like feather. Okay. Now, the one other thing I love about this Urban Decay brush, it's got the other side, so the smaller size. So what I can do is I can just go in and then just blend that out. So you can see straight away that a lot of that concealment has taken place. The one thing that you've got to remember, and this is for students or artists that, you know, have graduated and are slowly getting into the industry, is that don't pack it on, number one, but also the fabulous thing about doing a photographic concept and an editorial concept is it's going to be retouched and edited anyway. So try not to like make it perfect. You know, if there's freckles, leave the freckles on there. You know, freckles are just so beautiful and natural. If there's dark spots, of course they're going to be removed, again, depending on the concept. So now I'm just going to go in on the other side. I'm just going to concentrate that concealer just on the inner corner. Now, another thing I get is it wrong to put concealer on before foundation? Honestly, guys, it's no right or wrong. It's just whatever you feel is best and whatever your aesthetic is. Mine is doing concealer before because that's what I've always loved to do. If I have a beautiful, you know, model sitting in my chair that's like flawless, she's probably 16, she's flawless and just has nothing on there. Yes, I do foundation and then just a bit of concealer, but you've got to determine that when your model is on sitting in the chair. But no right or wrong, never a right or wrong with makeup. It's just honestly what you want to do, totally your call. I get asked that a lot, and I just think, no, there's no right or wrong to makeup at all. You do you. I'm just gonna get rid of that. And excuse me for my brows as well. I've just started using this horrid eye pencil because I couldn't get my brow pencil, so I won't be using that again. All right, so did my dark circles. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and just stipple some concealer on my redness, just around here. And like I mentioned, at the moment I have a lot of redness because it is winter and I do get a lot of redness around the nose. And again, I'm using the same color I used for underneath my eyes because I find that helps when it comes to concealing. Now, also, you've got to remember that anytime you're doing studio work it's got to be nice and blended, right? So you can't have products sitting on the skin because if you do, you'll be able to see it. And you don't want the photographer to mention anything to you. Honestly, if the photographer or the team that you're working with doesn't mention anything about makeup, that's a great thing because there's no problem. You know, a lot of the time I've been on a job and they've never said anything about makeup, good or bad. And I just think, oh, great, there's nothing wrong with it. And then, you know, at the end of the shoot, they're like, great job. So if they don't say anything, it doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It just means that, you know, they don't see any problem with it. All right. So I feel like I've done a lot of my concealment now. And I'll probably do just an added extra bit of concealment after I put my tinted moisturizer on. Now, just checking with questions if there's been any questions that have come up before I move on, because I don't want to miss anybody's questions. No questions. Excellent. Okay, let's move on to complexion. Now, I'm going to just run you through the products that I'm going to use. So you've got to think dewy skin. Now, dewy skin, think of dew, like it's just that watery texture on the skin. So what I love to do when I create this look, and I did this for TJ, which is the model in the photo, is I used NARS Tinted Moisturizer, which if you haven't used NARS Tinted Moisturizer, amazing tinted moisturizer. Gives you coverage, it evens out the skin and it radiates the skin. So that's that. And I'm also going to mix it in with a Mecca Cosmetica Illuminating Body Oil. Now, again, there is nothing wrong with using a body oil for the face, whatever, right? It's like back in the day when people used to use lipstick for blush, whatever. I still do that. So I'm going to do one dollop. I don't know whether that's a word. And again, this will all depend on your model's skin. If you feel like you need more coverage, apply more coverage. I just want to show you how much I've used before I go in there with the oil. So this is the amount I've used. So you can see that in the middle there. Just don't want to move it too much because it's going to fall. Then what I'm going to do with the oil is I'm going to go in and I'm going to drop, depends how dewy I want it, probably 3 drops. Love this stuff. And then I'm just going to mix it in with my stipple brush. Oh, this is so good. Okay. I'm going to start working on the skin. So what I usually like to do is start from the forehead and work my way up, but because I've got a little bit of extra product on my brush, is I'm just going to concentrate on the cheek area first, is because that's where I find my unevenness, and then just around my nose, and then just blend that out. And another thing you can do is after you've blended it out is you can go back in and apply that oil all over the skin. Looks so good. And when you're using this stipple brush, I like to use circular motions just so you can get that product into the skin. So you can see straight away, like especially around here, you can start seeing that glow forming, yeah? Now, again, the reason why I did it around the cheek area is because that's the least oily area on my skin. If I was to do it on the T-zone, first of all, it would just make me look like an oily mess, especially the fact that I'm mixing a body oil or an oil in there. And make sure as well, if you're ever using foundation, to really blend it into the hairline because you don't want that stop there, right? Now I'm just going to work around my forehead now. Another tinted moisturizer I love is Laura Mercier. Oh, that stuff is just gold. But I do love NARS. NARS is really nice. What's everyone's favorite tinted moisturizer? Besides NARS and Laura Mercier, is there another one? Because I always like see heaps of posts about what's the go-to product here, and I never like just look at the comments. I'm just too busy to look at them. So is there any other like product that people love I can get a hold of or in my kit? Tell me everything. I love like hearing about what other people have in their kits. I know Giorgio Armani Luminous Foundation, oh my God, is so nice for editorial. So nice. I know Tracy touched on that a little bit last week. How good was Tracy, right? If you haven't seen the video, like pop onto IGTV. She's so beautiful. She just gave really great advice. All right, so you can see how like it's forming that really nice glow around the cheek area. And that's what we mean by dewy, like it's just that wet look. After you've done the initial application, you want to go back in and just concentrate on specific areas. So what I want to do is I want to create that dewiness around the cheek area. That's where I want it. Oh my God, I love this product so much. And I just realized the other day, I'm so pale. I need to put like some sort of tan on. Oh my God. Okay. Now, when you go in under the eyes, make sure for your model's sake is you're using a smaller brush. So again, I just go back in with the concealer brush and I just apply that amount underneath my eyes. The thing is, if you're working on a shoot, again, you don't want to be packing underneath the eyes too much because you don't want them to look powdery. Yes. Okay. Underneath here. Oh God, I love this tinted moisturizer so much. And this is the exact steps I used to create that look that you saw in that image. Now, there were other little tricks and whatnot that we did, you know, apply, like the water. So that was actual water, but the initial like glow, this is exactly what I did. So, little secret. So now you can see that my complexion is like that really even skin tone, dewy, love it. And you know what, like if you're wanting to get into editorial work or, you know, fashion or photographic work, The one thing you need to master is skin, because a lot of artists, they don't know how to master skin. And then they screw up their look. Honestly, that's just, yeah, not a lot of artists know how to do skin. So what I might do is I might go back with a body oil because I am using a lot of other kind of shiny products, but that's just my glow, and you can see how luminous it is and like glowy and dewy, and it will get more dewy as I go on, because I'm going to use like a lot of illuminators and things like that.